A good episode of Two Smooth Operators, the only podcast about gate operator life for technicians.
Happy Mother's Day.
Your hosts, Michael Brooks
That's
and
me.
Robert Evers. Stay tuned for another great episode.
And then Daniel, all the way across.
Somewhere
Daniel, what's up?
We're live and in effect.
All right, what's going on?
Not much, man. Just being too smooth of an operator, man.
Yeah, two smooth operators.
You can tell with this haircut, man. I'm
Yeah.
So I used to be young like Daniel, and I could have my hair short. But now, since it's getting a little, my forehead's getting bigger, I'm going to let it grow out. That way I can comb it all over and cover it all.
Oh, man, I've only had hair for a couple years. I was shaved head for like 30
Oh,
years
yeah?
or so.
The way you liked it, or just military, or what was it?
Yeah, not just easy. No, I think when I had hair and I got in trouble in elementary school, my dad shaved my head because he was a military kid, and then it was just like shaved head.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right, we got Daniel. Daniel, can you do me a favor? I apologize. I'm going to say Forte. How do you pronounce your last name?
You know,
is it?
Forte.
Yeah,
Right.
You got it.
I think there's a DJ, a popular DJ on the West Coast with the last name Forte. So anyway, that's not you. This is Daniel Forte from Control Products. Maybe, possibly a DJ on the weekends, but we're not talking about DJing right now.
Yeah. No DJing on this side. No musical talent, none of that. Just access control and gate operators.
Yeah, I don't think there's much talent on this side either. Just some redneck ingenuity. I got a little fly in here, so if you see me trying to grab him, that's what it is. I apologize. We left the doors open up here at the Finch University the other day because we were cleaning out, getting ready for class, and now I've been infested with flies, which is crazy because I don't know if you guys have ever lived in Nevada. There's no bugs here. There's like no bugs. I haven't seen a roach. You rarely see flies except for that one. And there's just no bugs just running around at all. Of course, they can't live in the desert. That's probably what it is.
Yeah, no, trust me, when I'm running around the country and, we're doing our trainings, one of the things I always pick on being the West Coast, and that guys will say something, and then they start ripping on the West Coast. I'm like, oh, yeah, it's just horrible. Like, no, bugs are only this big, mild weather. Yeah. Maybe not.
Yeah,
Vegas.
No, we're just a desert out here, man. Just as long as I'm not digging holes out here, that's the only thing that I fear of out here ever having to do. So, all right, Daniel, we got you. You work for Control Products. What's your position at Control Products?
So I manage our access control department. So it's kind of two deals when you manage the department versus like managing the category. So I manage the category, right? So I deal with the vendors, promos, things of that nature, marketing, but I also manage a team of experts. So that's what makes it in a department, right? Because we have multiple employees. So I'm coaching them. They're helping the customers more than I am in the field these days, right? They're taking calls, whether it's pre-sale, they're doing commissioning with people over the phone, they're in the field walking jobs, things like that. And I do some of that also, but my bigger portion of my job is managing the vendors and, promos and bringing on products or not bringing on products if they aren't the right fit. That's what
Gotcha. So how do you go out and find products? What the products that you guys want to sell? Is it trade shows, or are you just literally actively looking, or is it a little bit of everything? People call you.
It's a little bit of everything. Probably biggest is trade shows, though. So that's a very, when I'm at a trade show, it used to be I was there working a booth trying to get customers, and now I'm more a customer at trade shows where I'm going from booth to booth and seeing the products and talking to them and figuring out what makes sense really for us, but also for our customers. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't make sense if it makes sense to me. It's got to make sense to you.
That's one thing I do want to get into. We both saw each other at ISC West. I wanted to see how that went for you. So what makes two guys like us that are in the gate operator world trust you? What's your background? And access control. We both do access control as well, too.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I mean, so it's all I've ever done. So at 19 years old, I went to go work at a bucket factory, and they told me I was a natural, and they wanted to hire me on because I was a temp. They were going to buy me out. And that day I quit, and I went to go work for a small distributor of perimeter access, not as much like door stuff, but more gate operators, the bread and butter stuff. It was a mom and pop, and started working there just shipping, sweeping. And really right out of the gate, I started doing FAC hydraulic rebuilds. That was like my first jump into anything where I was touching the equipment. So I'd rebuild the actuators, things like that. I would do high security conversion. So if you ordered a 3-phase, but we only had single phase, I would convert that. And then I'd test it. I'd run it, program it, things like that. And back then we used to pre-wire a lot of products too. Not everything had a built-in radio receiver. Liftmaster was the first ones to kind of add that 312 into the elites, right? If you recall. Before then, people would pay us to put in detectors or put in. So I would do that sort of work. And then I jumped 2 years into that. I jumped into tech support and worked tech support for about 13 years. And I've been at this for 23. And I guess once you jump into tech support, you're never out of it. Even though it's not my title, we do a ton of it. That's really where a guy like me could help a guy like you at the end of the day, right? I've seen a lot from the other end of it. I'm not going to come in and I always laugh. Guys will call me on stuff where I'm like, that's just something an installer should know and not a tech support guy, right? You know, not in the sense of like, well, where should I put this or where should I put that? It's like, I'm not there, right? So I'm not going to help you learn how to install a gate operator, but I can definitely teach you how to troubleshoot a gate operator, troubleshoot a phone system, things of that nature.
Was this all with Control Products?
No, I worked for a mom and pop out of Hayward, California for 12 years. And Zach Eichenberger was my manager there. He came over to Control Products. I came over about 7 months later.
And but a distributor, mom and pop distributor. Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
And are those guys still in business, or they all buy them out, or they?
Oh, no, they're still in business.
And what city, what geographic area was that?
That was in Hayward, California. So that's like south of Oakland, about 15 minutes. It's really the center of the Bay Area. It's a great location for distribution because all the freeways run through there. It's like an artery, right? You know what I mean? Everything just goes through there. So we had no real competition. I mean, we had some small competition around that were more focused on like door automation than gate automation. So we were able to hold our value per se. Like we could ask for the price. We didn't like go above dealer price, but we didn't have a lot of discounting going on back then because we had service. We had 8 guys that were dedicated to taking calls all day long, getting people out of the field. You know, we're talking one location.
Robert, who are you dealing with out then out where you're at? You're about an hour east of Charlotte?
I'm 2.5 hours from Charlotte.
Dang. I ain't coming to see you next time I go see my family. That's a little too far. Who are you using?
Yeah, that's right. Right now we just started using Control Products.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. We love hearing that. We definitely love hearing that. And I was saying before, like I really like the guys at that store in that location. They good customer service. So
yeah. So yeah, I'm you know, we had an account with them for years. And we're buying out a local dealer out of Charlotte, but things have changed and we're moving on, and we're got Controlled Products. So we're gonna hang in with y'all, see what y'all can do for us, see if you can keep up with me.
Awesome. Welcome aboard and take advantage of the product team. I mean, Zach Eichenberger's built a really cool thing there for the customers. You have all these experts that they've put that are just focused on product. They're not focused on shipping things. They're not focused on, you know, how the operations look. It's just products and finding the right ones for you guys and supporting you through them. So I feel like that's one of our big value adds is that team these days.
Well, you know, there's a big effort to be made for teaching other gate installers how to do this telephone entry stuff, how to program keypads or card readers and all kind of stuff like that, and having that support, you know, to help technicians out. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, with Charlotte, or not Charlotte. Now, quickly, Daniel, when you would say that specifically that Zach has built that, are you talking about specifically at the Charlotte branch, or are you talking about company wide?
No, that's a nationwide resource. I mean, we have a product expert team. So, you know, it's kind of, if you think about the genesis of it, it's Chris Peterson and Butch Showers. They were like the genesis of having these experts, right? You know what I mean? And if you're going to talk about experts in a product group, I mean, you can't get too better than that, right? When it comes to those two guys and knowing long range RFID and AVI equipment. So that was the genesis of it. And then my team came next. And then now we have guys running gate operators and guys running door operators. And I think it'll continue to build out. The education department also falls under there, or learning and development.
Well, we're going to talk about education here just in a minute, because you're doing something that I'd love to model and follow for the Finch University. You're going online, and you've got a pretty big catalog. I looked at it 2 weeks ago. So I could steal a bunch of your ideas, but I looked at it a couple of weeks ago, and it's pretty interesting. People should check it out. It's at CPSGU is what it's called. So we'll put that link up here in a minute. You kind of took some of my thunder away from me, because that's what I was going to say. In Dallas, it's technically Plano. I always had those guys as backups. Chris and Butch, I think that they were had their own company prior to being bought out by Control Products, but you guys were able to hold on to them. And anytime that I talk about RFID, that's who I would always recommend go to. Whether you're a Control Products customer or not, they will make you be a Control Products customer. But I was always able to go actually test my equipment there as well too. So if I had a card reader, I could actually take it into the Plano location, and they had the equipment set up. Transcore is a big manufacturer in Texas, so they had all the stuff set up, and they're pretty much the experts in that stuff. But the last I had checked, and I think it was at ISC West, I'd asked Butch, and he'd said Chris is semi-retired or retired.
Oh, Chris is retired. Chris is out by the lake house or whatnot at this point. But yeah, no, it's a big loss, right? We still have Butch, and then Dustin Pennington, who comes in below. He's got a lot of knowledge too. He's part of the family, we'll just say. And then he worked at Flash for a while too. So, and he was in the RFID department for Control Products for I don't know exactly how many years. He was with us for 10 before coming back, but he was there for a long time. So you got it. And he's the young guy up and coming, and he's going to fill those shoes. Chris got big shoes to fill, but Dustin's the right guy between him and Butch to fill that.
Yeah, I called Chris on I think it was a Saturday or Sunday, or no, I think it was a Friday night one time. I could not figure out how to get this loop directly connected to how they recommend it be in an RFID system. So how to basically make an activation loop, what to break with your loop detector on a Transcore system. And I was like, man, let me call him. So sure enough, it's 7, 8 o'clock at night, whatever it was dark outside. And he picked up the phone, and I was like, hey, where you at, man? And he's like, I'm on my couch. And I was like, okay, so basically you're not working right now, which I knew he wasn't, but he always has a good sense of humor. And picked up the phone, and Butch and those guys, I believe Tim is still at the Plano location as well too. Tim Klein.
Tim Klein. So no, he works in my department. So he's one of our access control experts, and he'll work from that store from time to time, but he's technically not part of the branch, and he'll work from home otherwise.
He's based out of Texas, right?
Yeah, he lives up border of Oklahoma, Texas there. So he was driving down like 45, 50 minutes to work.
Well, anyways, he was always helpful there as well too. Robert, what's going on in the field out there in Charlotte, man? What'd you do last week?
I ain't at no Charlotte.
Man,
I'm on the East Coast, man.
It's all the same.
No, it ain't.
Yeah, to me it is. To people who don't live in Carolina.
I'm got a mini storage. We put a fence around, and got a automatic 150 gate
AC?
off slide. No, DC. AC's ancient.
Hey, they still
DC. That's all I want to mess with.
They still make the AC though.
Yeah, but I don't want it. I don't want the AC control.
Hey, when you need a less expensive alternative, man, it's a good way to go.
No.
The one thing I don't like about the AC is I think it has a clutch, and the DC doesn't in the 150, and I'm not a big fan of that clutch on that gate operator. But anyways,
we don't need it. But
what?
I got it on a 24-foot open cantilever gate. I got a PDK software control package where they can manage their users coming in and out of the gate. And then we got like I put like 1,200 foot of fence around the whole project, so it was a pretty good job. I'm gonna go tomorrow and finish it up.
Oh yeah, and that was one of the places where the customer's buying the equipment and you're just installing it.
They buy the software, the PDK. They've been buying it, and so I've been just installing it for them.
Christopher, I can't pronounce your last name, but he says, "Hey guys, first live for me," and he says, "You know a good source for aluminum swing and cantilever gates, please." Real quick question: do you guys actually sell gate operators gates at Control Products? Okay.
No, we don't. We don't. Logistics of it are just, it doesn't make sense, right? Normally the value add of a distributor stocking, and those take up way too much space. It's just like doors, right? We don't sell doors either.
Well, on that question he just asked, you can look up Stevenson Pipe and Steel, Master Halco, Merchant Metals, and then you got other aluminum manufacturers out there. Just Google it. You can find something. There's plenty of it out there.
Yeah, with the cost of shipping, geographics matter with those too, right?
Yeah.
So probably best.
Yeah, they out there in Evansville, Indiana, the last class that Fence University was at that I attended, they had aluminum gate delivered by Digger Specialties, as well as the hinges and the hinge posts as well. So you might want to check them out as well too. You could probably reach out to Sean King on Facebook, Pro Fence and Tips forum, and he'll tell you where it's at. So.
Yeah, he's got a good team.
Oh, cool. So he's using Control Products right now in St. Louis. I assume that's STL, right?
Oh, yeah, we appreciate that. We appreciate that. Yeah, and I could even ask the guys there locally. They would be a better source for those sort of connections. Is going to be your local person. If you're in Northern California, I know where to send you, for those sort of things.
So did you guys do okay with the fires and all that stuff out there?
Oh, we're so far from them.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's like, this is a long state, man. That's a 6-7 hour drive from my house.
Gotcha.
Where the big ones were last time.
Yeah, I saw a little map the other day that said that's the same distance to drive from the Keys all the way up to the Panhandle in Florida as it is to Brownsville, Texas, all the way up to the Panhandle. You forget how long these freaking states are. It'll take you half a day just to get from one end to the other. And I bet California is like that too. So the only thing I've got going on in the field last week, I pretty much was recovering from Evansville, Indiana, because I was out there from Saturday. Yeah, Saturday. Drove from Indianapolis with Brian Fredrickson and Yadera all the way to Evansville, and that's always a treat. And then we messed around for a couple of days, and then we had class Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So I didn't do much but get ready for the class that we've got today. Or coming up tomorrow. But I do have a pedestrian gate that I've got going in here this week, and I might even take the guys, depending upon how big the class is. We only have a few registrants right now, and sometimes I like to, when it's small like that, because it's easier to get your point across to 4 or 5 people as opposed to 15. But I've got a pedestrian gate. I've got to electrify. Are you guys a Lock and Knox dealer?
Okay. Oh yeah, no doubt about it. Yeah. What are you typically using on those? I guess it depends on the application. So right?
This particular one on this pedestrian gate, we have an existing access control system, and I can't remember what it is, but we're actually going to tie into an elevator, a door that goes into a stairway shaft, and it's actually going to open that and the pedestrian gate at the same time. So in this particular case, because I did not want to cut out a new box, I'm just going to use, in essence, a dead handle. It's keyed on both sides, so it'll free turn, but it won't actually pull the latch. And then I'm going to use a door strike. And it's a Hess door strike. It's a model that I haven't used before. I just learned about these door strikes that are really, really small, and you don't have to cut out as much. I forgot. It's like a replacement latch thing. You literally are just putting it right where the actual latch would go for a manual door. So,
Okay.
so that's a Hess, and then I'm not a door handle guy, so it's a Schlage or something like that. But I bought it from a local distributor, and so, anyways, hopefully we can get the guys to go out there and put that in. But pedestrian gates are kind of tricky. So, Pat's saying it's a 9200, a Hess 9200. What's going on, Pat?
Pat.
But yeah, so we just got trained on those Lock-and-Knocks the other day. I got a feeling those, Robert, what's your opinion on those Lock-and-Knocks pedestrian gates? I got a feeling that it's going to be like somebody's going to order 10 and want you to install 10 of them, as opposed to being like, oh, I sold one this week, I sold one last week. I got a feeling it's going to be a lick for a whole community. What do you think?
We're talking about the ADA.
It's the one that mounts on the hinge post and just has the arm.
Venus, I believe it's called the Venus.
Yeah, that's an ADA. So it's because they have ones that look just like that are closers. But yeah, no, that's their ADA motor. I've sold a couple. They're out there kicking. I actually have CHP put them on a yard here in Central California, and they're going to test them out. And if they like them, they're going to standardize on them. So that's a big deal because they got a lot of yards. So.
Jim Todd reached out to us on our Facebook page and was wanting to promote the locking. Say it for me, Lock-and-Knocks. That's right. I get it. And he was getting a lot of pushback because of the UL 325 standards or stuff like that, and so we're help promoting that pedestrian gate operator for handicapped people, commercial places, and where all you gotta do is touch the gate and the gate open, or you can hook a keypad up to it and hit a code and it'll open. And if you walk in front of it while it opens, it will hit you and go back the other direction or whatever. It's a pretty safe operator.
Yeah, it's low energy. I mean, that's the definition of it, right? Similar to like what you would have at like a storefront or something, or going into an apartment with a handicap button, to where if it hits you, it's gonna reverse. It's intended that way. But yeah, no, they're nice. I really like them. They program with the app, right? So I only have a handful in the field because they're somewhat new.
They are new.
We'll keep pushing.
So if you come across a job to do it, to do a pedestrian gate with the operator, get up with the control products and to ask them about the Venus operator for pedestrian gates.
Yeah, it's one of those products where if I was still in sales, I would be walking in with that, right? Because when I show up somewhere, I don't want to come in to talk to you about the same thing you already know. I want to say, hey, here's educationally, do you know about the Venus? Do you know about this product? Those sort of things. So yeah, no, it's a cool product. I really like it.
Pat just put, he confirmed it's the Venus. He said he's got one going in next week. Pat, I'd like to know what your experience is. On Facebook, you can click that link right there. And if you want to come on camera, we could talk to Daniel about it. I think the biggest obstacle for that, the install looks nice. Being able to program it over the app looks cool. I think the biggest obstacle for that is really just price. I haven't seen what the dealer pricing is, but for the best of my knowledge, I think retail was $1,700 or something like that. So it can get up there. But the fact that you could put access control on it and put a keypad on it and make it an access control point, I think for apartment complexes, I don't necessarily, I'm not promoting it as security, but promoting it as part of my access control plan, I think would be pretty effective. And like I said, I think somebody's going to get to where it's like a retirement community says, yeah, we want all of them, as opposed to like regularly be selling one or two. But if you live in Florida, it may be different. You may find that there's 1 million people that just have 2 or 3 gates that want them. So, but I have yet to put one in. We did one in Evansville out there at Sean King's property a couple of weeks ago. So, yeah. But that's all I got going on in the field. I didn't have anything special happening. So, training-wise, we talked about CPSGU. That's almost as complicated as it can get. But Control Product Systems Group University is online, and they do virtual training on that. Were you a part of that at all, Daniel?
helped out modules and stuff like that. But no, that's really the lift on that is Christina Williams and Zach Eichenberger. Really, Christina runs the project. Zach's managing her. But no, she's awesome. She comes from that world of like that e-learning. So she's building that while also building out like all the e-learning for how to work a controlled product. So extremely busy position to be in, but she just does a great job. Attention to detail is awesome. The way she grabs attention with that stuff is awesome. That's the type of training I probably would never be good at. That's like too detail oriented. And, you know, I could add content or add value and like knowledge, but I can never put something that pretty together.
What's her name again?
Christina
Williams. Okay. Yeah. I don't think I've met her. She doesn't come out to any of the ISC WEST or anything like that.
Not Secret Weapon. Yeah, she's come out to some of this stuff before, but yeah, no, they're one of those positions where you're probably not customer
right facing. On. Well, I could tell that you've been in that corporate world for a long time because you're like customer facing, value proposition, and all that stuff.
Yeah, 100%. You can't help it. I swear, when I got here and Zach was speaking, you know, all the alphabet soup, I'd give him such a hard time. It didn't take long for me to be circling back.
Yeah.
Right.
So, do you ever get actually out in the field and deal with any of y'all's customers?
All the time. Yeah, not as much anymore. I want to say it's like my favorite thing to do though. For years, I came from a distributor that was smaller where we did a lot of job site visits. We actually at one point did ride along where you had to go ride along as like an employee of one of our customers for a week or whatever, and like see what it was to be in the field, and gives you empathy at a minimum, right? You know, one of my coworkers who I've worked with many years tells a good story of a guy who would always complain about the guy in the field, like put you on mute. It isn't that hard to do, you know, whatever, because that's what tech support guys are doing, right? Put you on mute. And then I would always tell him, I'd be like, dude, you're not laying down in the mud behind the thorn bush with the snake popping out at you. You know, it seems easy to do in the training room, right? But they sent him out in the field. He didn't come back for 3 days because he had such a bad sunburn. Something as simple as that, right? So, you know, you get that empathy by going out and learning. But yeah, no, I've installed a gate operator from top to bottom. I've poured a pad. I've, you know, done all that stuff. It's not my job and you don't want me doing it. But at the end of the day, I felt I had to learn if I'm going to help you.
Robert, what's your biggest, what's your biggest deal that you think with, because I know you're bringing on a couple of newer guys or have a couple of new guys. What's you think your biggest obstacle when you're bringing on somebody that's new in regards to gate operators and access control?
Just main things learning how to be repetitive and remember what you learned yesterday and the day before and bring it the day of going into installing it. Right now, I got them where they can put in loops, saw cut loops, and I can got them to do little service calls like tighten the chains, lubrication, stuff like that. But as far as like a new install, I don't have them quite on par to do that yet. So, and quite frankly, I don't think they really want to do it.
Is that they primarily just care about the fence part of it?
No, they do whatever I tell them to do, but it's like the responsibility of putting it in correctly. I think they're kind of scared of that responsibility.
It's funny because I was actually going to say hey, what's up, Aaron? I was actually going to say the same thing. And maybe that's us as leaders is probably a big part of it, because exactly what you said, I fall into that trap all the time, which is like, I just showed you this 2 days ago, and now you don't, you know, you haven't put that as part of your foundation to build. And go ahead.
And they, you know, these guys don't want, it ain't a big deal. They just want to be able to do this one day and do this the next day. They don't want the responsibility of going out on their own and installing it by themselves. And I would love for them to be able to do that, but they just don't want to take it on. And then so I got to look for somebody that can take it on, and that's a little bit of a struggle too, because I live out in such a rural area, and always like big massive territory I got, and there's no competition and there's no help. So all the calls end up coming to me on gate service and stuff. And I got people calling every day wanting gate operators, but I can't get to them all because I don't have the qualified people to do it on their own. You know.
So how do we solve that, Daniel? I mean, what's the, obviously you guys have put a lot of money. I mean, you have one person that's overseeing it and Zach managing it and all that stuff. What's the solution? How do we get people in this trained right? And then how do we keep them? Do you have any opinion on it?
How do you keep them is a tough one, right? Especially when you're in a competitive market with lots of competitors, right? Because they're going to be looking for the good guy, just like you're looking for the good guy. But it really starts. I mean, if you're talking about, it's what he said, you have to hire the right person. You can't send the wrong person in. And I believe in that even in my department. Like I refuse to make a bad hire to the point of I had a fourth body under me at one point in time and I gave it up because I couldn't get the right person and I refused to hire someone just to hire somebody. And I was in that position where we could stretch it out. But if you're talking about how do you get them going, I mean, you got to get them in front of your suppliers first when you're talking about the electronics. Like have them learn the electronics. I can't teach them the day-to-day routine of you guys actually cutting loops or you guys, pouring the pad or how to do those things. But if you need help on the electronics, your supplier should be teaching you how to install that equipment in relation to programming and wiring and things of that nature.
Well, there's no help with that whatsoever, I believe. For gate operators, actually, gate operator technicians are left out there high and dry. So, I always say there needs to be a better effort, a better program for doing it. And that's what me and Mike's getting together and trying to come up with ideas. That's why we got this podcast, is to talk about the good and the bad. And so one of the bad things and one of the things I've been struggling with for the past 25 years, I got the dedication and to learn something. I'm a musician too, and sound engineer, podcaster, business owner, worker, at all the hats I wear. But I'm learning something. So finding the right person to learn, and then maybe some kind of training program for companies that are looking, because people are reaching out to us on Facebook or messaging me on Facebook about, do you know about this class? I had somebody message me on Facebook Messenger and was trying to fix a gate operator, an old one. I told him to replace it. So, but he ended up getting it fixed. But there's just a big need for that, and to make it interesting for people to get into it, to take the next level. Like if you're a master fence installer and you can hang a gate, well, the next thing for you to do is learn how to put on a gate operator, learn how to install it correctly, learn how to manage one person working with you and not trying to do it by yourself per se. And taking them next steps to get better at your craft. I'm all about that, and I'm all about the support. And also, I think where other people in their training and what's going on, I don't think they're making calls back. You need to call your students back and ask them how they're doing. A month later, the next month, and you need to keep that constantly going. And I think there's a big problem with that. And because they're reaching out to me because I have a lot of installation knowledge. I have a lot of knowledge about how to buy from distributors and all that kind of stuff. I had a lot of knowledge about how to talk with the manufacturer when you're doing RMA numbers and all that kind of stuff. And they're seeking it out.
That's
partially because you made yourself available, right? And that's one of the issues. Not a ton of people available, and so you made yourself available to be a resource. And I commend you. I mean, I'm one of those people that believe if you can help somebody in this life, like you help them, you're not going to be judged by how much money you make. You're going to be judged by how many lives you change at the end of this thing. So, realistically, I'm a big believer in helping people out that way. But I'm gonna start with one thing. A good piece of advice I got, and I think actually might make sense, is to go look at the vocational schools. Go look at the HVAC guys. Go look at the auto mechanics, because no one's teaching them how to be gate operator techs, but all those guys are learning principles that you could apply to being a gate operator tech.
That's what I understand that part too. I never liked that though, because I took welding in school and all that, and that's what they would say. Oh, you'll learn on the job. Well, the problem is learning on the job because job, and that
Yeah, no, I
and
mean, at the
that's
end,
I mean, how do they learn? So it's just a
yeah,
big,
no, give me
big
1 second, guys.
gap we have in the workforce area.
Yeah.
No, 100%. I mean, but how do we attract them? That's outside of like, what
Oh
I can
yeah,
help you with at the end of the day. Educate them. I can help you educate them on the
yeah,
electronics I
yeah.
sell. I mean, I've offered up, I don't know, 40 trainings last year. The year before, my team did 50
Man, that's a
something trainings.
lot.
So, at the end of the day, the opportunities are there. You just got to, I guess maybe we can market them better. We could do things like
Yeah,
that. But
because
they're out there.
I think every fence company should get an email on training. So why I don't if there's a training going on and I don't hear about it, why don't I hear about it?
I think it goes beyond an email. If you're in our system and we have a training in your market,
Yeah.
you get an email. That's not enough. We should be
Yeah.
calling you.
What I'm
We should be
saying
picking
is
up the phone.
I ain't saying that's what y'all doing, but what I'm saying is all of them out here.
I'm talking about the general.
Yeah,
When I
they
say
need to
it's
be
the
pushing
general. I'm not talking about control products alone.
This training needs to be pushing. Everything needs to be working cohesive together to push this training. And there's no competition in the training. And I just want it to be pushed more. And to I'm just the advocate for that,
Well,
No, I actually really like what you guys are doing. I am a big fan of what you guys are doing. I hope it continues to grow. I was seeing like stuff about was it Mr. Fence stuff? Like they're actually installing stuff that's going to stay there permanently. It does make a difference. You know what I mean? Like those are the right ways. Get them in the field, teach them that stuff, and where guys like me or distributors or manufacturers can assist. Bring us in, man. We can come in and we can talk about
that's the thing. It's about bringing everybody and just talk. You got a lot of knowledge about access control and wiring up and programming. So, if I have a problem, I'll seek out y'all's department. Like, hey, I ain't never hooked one of these up, or it's been a couple years since I hooked this up, because I may not be able to remember how it goes together. Because I do that all the time.
Yeah. And the nice part about, working with like my department is we know gate operators too. And we know many manufacturers. We're not going to get to that point where we're like, well, seems like it's the gate operator, got to bail. It's not my, we don't have that. We still need the gate operator too. So we get to soup to nuts.
So is there a different department for the gate operators? Do you have a peer that's just in the gate?
Tim Nordstrom is my peer. He's the product category manager, but he doesn't have a team of guys. That one's new. So it's got to get built out. Right. So,
do you guys still have, or did you ever have a physical, actual learning facility?
In Denver, we did, and it hasn't been opened up, I think, outside since COVID. But we did. We used to bring customers in, and we did hands-on. We couldn't cut an actual loop, but they would wrap a loop on a board and full-blown installation. So yeah, it was a good training program that Zach and Tim had put together. I don't know, 2018.
Is that going to get brought back?
I'm not the guy to answer that question. You know what I mean? I just don't know the answer.
Well, tell the guys up top that we're talking about it. They bring it back.
We know. And that's why we're trying to take something on the road this year. And like, shoot, tomorrow I go to Phoenix, training Tuesday, Wednesday, and it is hands-on. We're not going to be able to do it as well as we could in that classroom. We have that classroom. Really nice.
The part that you do is a very important part, because like I tell Brooks, I said, you got to have both sides of it. You got to have the classroom.
Absolutely.
And you got to have the hands-on training.
Well,
if you got both combinations, I think good for the guy that's going to come out there to say, hey, I'm going to get in this business, so I need to know what it takes. So I need to sit in the classroom and learn the terminology, what hooks, what goes where, and then having that extra class to where it's hands-on too. I think that's just a no-brainer.
Well, I've always tried to, actually not always, only since I've started working with Defense University, been telling these manufacturers and distributors and rep firms that, look, I'm here to complement your training. I'm not here to take it over. There is no way that I'm going to be able to memorize the 10 gate operators that we have here, which is why I need you to come in and help me teach these classes. Now, I'm pretty aggressive and pretty strong with my language in the marketing part of it about how we are confident that getting hands-on and in the field, which is what we simulate and do here in Las Vegas. We did it in Evansville at Mr. Fence Academy and trained people how to put a nice gate operator in, which you guys are a dealer of, correct? Yeah. I just want to make sure, because sometimes, these things change overnight. So, and then, we put an automatic gate operator in at JC Guri out there as a demonstration in California. But we are advocates for in the field, but we are not advocates for not doing it in the classroom. My marketing has to promote to our strengths, but we are by no means saying that don't take this training from so-and-so manufacturer or distributor, because you're always going to know more about the programming and so on as us. But one thing that you can't do is you can't replicate the general setup of a truck. You can't replicate the parts list that you actually need.
Yeah, nor am I trying to, right? At the
so
end of the day.
that's the point. That is exactly the point. That's not your part. That's not your part in the organization. That's mine. Why would you promote the fittings that you need to buy at Home Depot? It's not yourself. It's not what you need to do. But
because then everybody like, hey, I want a kit.
Yeah. So maybe that's the case. And I know that there are distributors out there that are selling fittings and all that. So it is strictly there to complement, regardless of what the marketing is, because again, we have to pitch to our strengths. So I tell people that all the time. I'm not going to memorize what it is that goes on this Liftmasters CSL 24. I can't remember what 76 is, what 77 is, what diagnostic code 90 or 91 is. So you have to, doing that does not hurt. The only time that it hurts, in my opinion, is when it says this is how you install a gate operator, and it's actually just sales training. But yeah. So with that in mind, Robert doesn't mind when I pitch my stuff as well too. We do have training at the Finch University here in Las Vegas coming up Monday through Thursday of next week. And I didn't know you were going to be in Phoenix, Daniel. So if by chance you're done on Tuesday and you can swing another day, we'd love to have you Wednesday or Thursday. We'd love to have you any day. And this is an open invite to manufacture.
Yeah, no, for sure. Let's get it going out there somewhere in the future. Okay. Better planning, just due to the fact that I'm back. I'm here. Then I got another thing. So yeah, I'm back Wednesday night, and then Thursday I go to the Bay Area for something. But yeah, no, I'm into
the
it.
Controlled Products group that's here in Las Vegas. It's led by a great guy, and I forget his name because I'm in and out of there so fast. Dylan.
Alex Watt just hit 10 years, but yeah.
So he's a well-tempered, very nice, very educated person, and I'll get with him and make sure that he's aware of that too. But we want you manufacturers and distributors to be able to come to this as a safe zone, if you will, in the sense that we don't really have a dog per se in the fight. So if you sell a Liftmaster CSL, which I promote those a million times when I'm putting in a swinger and a slider on the same property. I love putting in CSLs and CSWs because I think overall they've got the best gate operator pair. And then we love talking about automatics and Patriots when they fit as well too. And the Door King 6006 we just put in, which I think is a great replacement for an LA 500, and the way that they've got it set up with all the replacement parts is a good gate operator. So yeah, we have no dog in the fight per se. As far as so you're more than welcome, and all of your trainers are welcome as well too, because I know the ideas that I'm going to get from you, I'm going to steal and be able to replicate them here. So I'd be excited if you can.
I'll run our methods of connectivity. I think it's one of the most important things we do. We do it at every training, and we do it hands-on too, so we can bring equipment and show you how to actually set them up and test them and things like that. So we that's actually a fun one because it's really not about anything specific. It's about one of our biggest challenges we fight being on the perimeter is getting internet over on the other side of the property, right? And that's one of the biggest things.
Cool. Well, we definitely need one of your IT, if you will, professional, somebody that knows the basic IT.
Well, the beauty of it is as we teach in every class, we're not IT professionals. So that's the whole beauty of this is we found how not to be an IT professional, but get internet where we need it.
Well, hey, here's what we'll do next time. If we need to do hardwired anything, we could saw cut across the driveway here. So if we want to show them, hey, we can't get a cellular signal here, even though we have a tower right out behind us, we'd cut right across the driveway and get internet wherever we need to. So speaking of the classes that we got for the gate operator quick start and the telephone entry, what's new and what's exciting about gate operators that you've got going on out there, Daniel? Do you guys got any new gate operators in that we need to know about?
Well, I mean, Liftmasters launching their Techna barrier.
That's right.
End of the day, it's going to be replacing the MAT. It's a big deal. There's a lot of MATs out there. I wish I had gone further into. I'm so far down that hole of access control and Doorbird and Liftmaster and Cellgate and security brands and the other ones we represent. But things I'm really into and what I'm really getting the idea of here is give me 1 second.
Hey, no problem. Hey,
You're good.
So no, we actually talked about the Techna on the podcast the other day with Daniel. We were just saying we were talking about the Techna with one of their evangelists, if you will, Coyote Denali. And Sarah was kind enough to review that with me at Fence Tech. And I think that has some very, very big shoes to fill because the Mega Arm was new control board or batteries. And then it'd be good for another 15 years and then new control board, but every once in a while, gear reducer. But so they've got big shoes to fill.
Aluminum, like they fit a market really well, like Florida. I mean, they're everywhere, all across the country. But Joey Mars is the man, by the way. I'll get to him in a second.
Yeah, let's talk about. I said, let's talk about him after this.
Yeah, in a second. But yeah, big shoes to fill. I think that's the main thing is making sure that you can fill those shoes and fit those jobs. And they've done a good job slow rolling the launch and making sure they can cover it. So. See where it goes from there. I mean, when it comes to barriers, I'm a big fan of I like the B680 too. No better barrier in the world than a magnetic auto control. Just kind of pricey, but not everyone knows how to work on them, but they are awesome. Like the things they can do with those machines and tested for. So Techna is, they got some big shoes to fill on their own, but they have a chance to go after markets like that too.
Well, with the toolless control board and the LCD, I had some. I still think there's some room for improvement there, but the LEDs on top, showing this, the status of what's going on, and the way that they've redesigned the arm, I think it's going to have some. There's some strong benefits there, but ultimately, at the end of the day, having a product that was so good before means that this product's going to have to be really, really, really durable. So hopefully they'll do that. Now, do you have those in the store right now? Are you selling them?
We do. And yes, we do.
But you said it's a slow launch.
No. They took a while. They went through before they launched. They didn't rush anything per se. You know what I mean? To get it out there. I think they had a few different times where they pulled it back or whatever. I wasn't involved in that project at all. Like I said, I'm typically involved on the things that are happening with the CAP product or things of that nature.
Robert, are you putting in very many barrier arms out there? I know we.
I put them in all the time.
What barrier arms your go-to?
It's 3 different kind. I use Door King 1601, 1602, and then the Liftmaster Mega Tire. Basically, those are the 2 main ones that I mess with.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah,
I bet that's fairly common in our industry, honestly, is, people are putting in Door Kings, they're putting in Liftmasters for the most part. There's people putting in high security, took some chunk a while back. But yeah, I mean, then B680 now with FAC, but I don't think a ton of people that work with us typically are magnetic installers.
I see a lot of those magnetic installers. Is that high security or is that another company? Oh, it's FAC too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I see those at the airports quite a bit. I know around Dallas we have several of those, but yeah, they're.
And then I see a lot of the 680s FAACs, the 24-foot arm and all that on it.
Yeah, that one goes, I think, up to 26 foot. So, like with having one machine, kind of, there's some parts that have to change, like springs and arm covers and things like that. But you can have one machine that can handle anywhere from, whatever, 10 to 26 foot. Those are, one of those things. Those are tested for like 500,000 cycles without maintenance, but like a magnetic's 1,000,000 cycles without maintenance. So you just kind of see the difference with what you pay for. They're both the same brand, right? They're both good machines.
Yeah.
Well, they're different.
Thanks to those companies for killing my service program. Appreciate that, guys. You got to make a breakdown every once in a while so we can go out and service them.
Oh, you still have PM. PM should still be done, right?
And somebody's going to hit them anyway.
You got to think about a magnetic barrier on a parking structure. 1,000,000 cycles.
Oh, so hey, speaking of barrier arms, have you guys got the automatic? Whatever this guy's name is, DJ Evers and me, we're big All-O-Matic fans. So knowing that it's got the same control board, just different firmware, we're pretty excited to see that. At least I am. So have you seen those actually in the stores yet?
Who's All-O-Matic? I'm just joking around. Shout out Forte, shout out Luis. But they, no, I'm a big All-O-Matic fan myself too. Trust me, I was pushing that DC line hard in Northern California when I was a sales rep. So we didn't have Max at that time, so that was like my Max at the moment. I haven't seen them in the stores yet. I've still just seen them at the shows.
Cool.
That's really I'm sure when they're out, we'll take some stock on because they're a great partner of ours.
So what do we got now that since you're the access control expert between the three of us, what do we got coming out as far as telephone entries? I know that the CapXL V2, I believe, is coming out. I'm not for.
That's been out for. I can't even give you a date, but it's been over a year.
The black one has been out for a year. Oh, okay.
It has,
and then they've got different models of that, and then the Doorbirds and those types of companies. Butterfly MX. Well, I mean, I guess Doorbird as well too. I'm not that familiar. Are you a Doorbird dealer?
Distributor. Yeah, no, they're one of my big partners,
and as well as Butterfly MX too.
Not Butterfly. No, we don't deal with Butterfly. I mean, if you into us, like our, security brands, Cellgate, Liftmaster, Doorbird, SES over time, you know what I mean? POTS is kind of a little different. AES, those are the brands that you're going to see in our stores. It depends on what store it is, but they're all vastly different products, and they all fit where they fit.
What's new coming out then?
I'll go away from the phones and I'll come back to it a little bit. But since Joey hopped on here, I'll talk about what they got going on. And that's he's from an Assa Abloy company. They're a startup actually, which is unique in Assa Abloy. They're typically acquiring companies, right? Where this is something they're building from within. And we had them at Fence Tech. We had them at ISC in our booth. It's Centrios is the brand. And what they offer is fully outdoor rated lever sets. So it's free exit and it's it's a Bluetooth reader on the outside. So it's cloud-based, but with no internet required, right? So you're out there on the perimeter. You put in a weld box, you put 4 batteries in, you hit it with your phone, scan a QR, set it up in the app, and then you're off and running. I mean, what couldn't be better built for the access control on a fence perimeter, right? Where you don't need to get the internet there, and it's weather rated on both sides. I mean, they also have a card reader keypad combo that it does take 4 wires, right? It's a little different. And they offer a padlock, but they're continuing to build this line out. So soon they'll have an exit rim version. They'll have a mortise version. And it's all offline technology, but cloud-based. So I can program it from my computer and give you access. You go out there and you're going to get in because your phone is that portal into the cloud. So as you're presenting your phone, it's sending the program and back and forth, awesome. Right?
So what was that again? What was the name of that product?
It's Centrios.
All right, cool. And it's awesome.
I want that email to me.
Well, okay. So basically, I'm just at that stage, I'm just replacing door handles, right? Yeah,
100%. Yeah, and And it's a standard prep too. So it's like probably if you're on a door that has a door handle, it's probably the same prep.
Okay, so I'm just running a wire over to that box where I'm getting power from.
No, there's no, not on the handle. The handle is
it is
powered. That's my point. You can go out there, weld the box in, 4 batteries and a lever set, scan it with your phone. You got access control on a pedestrian.
I got to figure out, Joey, you're going to have to spell Centrios for us. But yeah, Centrios. I was going to share this with our viewers. Okay, I see how it is. Smart lock systems for business. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so they're geared towards small business. Think more, the way I look at it is think of like 1 to 50 doors, really 1 to 20, but 1 to 50 doors. And think about a house where you don't need guests to come in because not every house has room for guests to park. So you just put a keypad card reader combo up there. You put a lever set on the pedestrian gate. And if you have less than 10 users and less than 5 locks and you don't need to restrict times, it's no monthly fee either. So I can see a lot of that combination happening.
I think, Robert, you might think the same thing. That's kind of nice not to have a monthly fee. I mean,
that's the biggest kickback I get from these customers. I don't want no more $20 a month, $30 a month bill.
And well, they have a paid subscription too, but you're getting into features and like pretty much where if you were competing versus other systems, it's still super low cost. When you say you can go up to, whatever, 20 locks for $10 a month total, not per door, total. I mean, that's
and that's typically the property paying $10 a month for that. And so there's no monthly fee for just a basic 1 door or something along those lines.
It's like, I think it's up to five devices, I'll call it, because might be a door, they have padlocks too. They have smart padlocks in case you want to have a padlock on a chain gate, a manual gate, or a cage or something else. Put it on your truck.
Okay. Asa Abloy, I think, owns Hess, right? Okay, because that's pretty cool because this little bundle kit that they have here looks like it has a Hess strike, alarm controls, exit button, and then some kind of access control.
Securitron power supply, and then a door position switch is what
that's pretty cool. So this right here, what would it cost? If I just had this 1 door, what would it cost me a month?
Are you restricting people? How many users do you have? Those are the questions that answer that. So if it's less than 10 users with no restrictions,
nothing. Gotcha. So it's features. When you get into features is when we do it. Okay, cool. And you guys are a full line dealer of theirs?
100%. Yeah, no, we're excited
about
this.
That's pretty cool. Does anybody have it in a demonstration in any of the stores that you're aware of?
Yeah, I can't remember which stores have them on their counters yet, but anyone who takes on inventory, they're sending a demo to them. It's funny. The hard thing to get isn't the hardware. It's the stands that they get. They get them brought in. They take forever to get them. So they're not easy to display.
Okay. I was like to say, but I don't need a stand for out in the field. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Cool.
No. For displaying it at a store. So I want to say like 5 stores have them, but my team has them. They travel with them. We take them places. And these guys are at our training events that we're doing. So at the end of our event, there's a tabletop for about 3-4 hours. So they get to walk around and see all the vendors, and these guys will be at every one.
Where do we go to find out about more of those trainings?
Controlproducts.com. When you go there, the top banner is going to have you can click there and it'll show you. We're running kind of 2 things side by side. We have our high security crash certification trainings happening, or our crash trainings. I don't know if they're certifications, but crash trainings. And then at the same time, we have our Pro Tech, which is where we're going to Phoenix, or we were in Tampa a few weeks ago.
Are you crash certified or whatever, Robert? Have you gone to any of those trainings?
No.
See, I haven't either, just because the market that I service really doesn't necessarily have that. I've always wondered who, like, I want it to go for the knowledge so I can at least offer it if somebody says something. I'm not an idiot about it. But
it's starting to get bigger and bigger and bigger. So, I mean, when you're in bigger city areas, there's more of it. About where I live at, I always say we're 20 years behind where I live at. So it's kind of difficult to sell them products. You just don't have a lot of use for them. But I do have people that I do get calls about stuff like that. And, and I would like to take a course on all that stuff too myself.
It looks. I don't see Charlotte on here. Doesn't look like there's a Charlotte one for that. But anyways, anybody can go to controlproducts.com, pro training, and that's all the information on there for you guys to do that. Well, Daniel, man, we can't tell you how much we appreciate you coming on. I don't say this lightly, but in essence, Control Products is one of the big dogs. So to come on our lowly show, we really appreciate it and appreciate the information.
Oh no, I appreciate you guys having me.
We
You know, at the end of the day, it is what it is. I want to see people like you guys get more trainings out there. I want to get the word out there. I want to see more people get educated. I jokingly say the better you guys are, the less my phone rings. Hopefully for good things.
I don't understand why distributors don't get that, or reps. I'm just like, I will lower the number of service calls that you or warranty calls and tech calls that you get just by training these people. So do everything you can to help me out, because it's going to lower the number of phone calls that you get, return batteries that you get, and RMAs that you get. Man, me just teaching somebody how to test a solar panel, and I'm still of the opinion that manufacturers, distributors, and everybody in between do not teach people how to do solar panels right, or how to test them right. I'll lower the number of calls that you get, man. Just send them to me for hands-on in the field training. So, man,
you know, it's actually funny that you say that, because you might be of a different opinion, but like, how many times have you actually had a bad panel? Like, how many times has it actually been a bad panel?
So bad panels out of the box, never, but bad panels that test good all the time. Because the first thing that people tell people is to test voltage, and I say you never test voltage. We end up doing it to document it, but you don't test voltage. You don't test current. You test short circuit current. And that's how you test the solar panel.
No, and you'll do that. And then I like to test, and then I'll test current after, because you want to see that it flows all the way through. But really, when I test voltage, it's not really to see the voltage. It's actually to see if this thing's connecting all the way through, right? I want to see that drop. That's the only thing I'm really checking voltage for, is to see that it makes the connection through.
And I tell people, and this be part of the class next week, tell people that batteries, solar panels, and service voltage, it's all power, but it's tested 3 different ways. So you got to understand. But yeah, I mean, I've tested solar panels that got 21 volts, but no short circuit current. The only reason why short circuit current is important as opposed to being able to test current is because you have a known load. And when you test current flow, you don't have a known load. Because you could have a battery that's 95%, and then you could have a battery that's 90%.
No, 100%. No, I get what you're getting at there, but I've had to do it before, because I've been to jobs where you would have tested short circuit current, and then on the other end there's an oxidized wire, right? So you had to like go all the way through to get there. So
and I don't know about if you guys sell solar panels separately that aren't manufacturer's solar panel, like US Automatic sells a solar panel, Automatic sells a solar panel kit.
Oh yeah, no, we sell a bunch of them, because like they can't service all the jobs I do. I mean, I do some pretty insane size arrays.
So the solar panels that you guys that sell separate from the manufacturers, that's not like a listed Automatic or US Automatic or whatever solar panel. A lot of people don't know this, that they're actually making those panels smarter. So you will actually find a charge controller in the panel themselves. And people got to be aware, because I just learned this last year, that with the charge controller in there, it's so smart that it actually won't put out voltage unless it sees a battery there. So it'll bite you in the ass, because I bought 2 new solar panels thinking that these solar panels were bad, because I'm such a smart instructor saying you test short circuit current before you put these in. You got to document them. Well, anyways, that bit.
I haven't seen those ones yet, but I'll check into it. But I have seen where they're manufacturing, they're coming out at higher voltage, because that's acceptable, like when you're doing solar. And I've seen those actually, like, I talked to my manufacturer, they reversed how they're doing it. But we'd put those directly to a Liftmaster without a regulator, and they would be fine while they were charging, but their voltage when they were not with their floating voltage would shut the board down. So I've seen stuff like that happening too, because they're allowing them to manufacture where that it's like 47, 48 volts when it's floating.
For like a 12 or 24 volt.
Like 24.
Wow.
24.
Wow.
Yeah, and it would be fine when it was charging, but it was weird. If I ran it through the charger circuit on Liftmaster, did that. If I ran it through the actual solar harness, it would overcharge. It would just cook the batteries, just never stop. It wouldn't regulate. So yeah, you got to watch out for those things too. But now you're getting in the weeds at that.
Well, point. Robert, that's a good point. If we're talking about you guys having fewer calls and without people knowing that they've got to watch out for this stuff out on the field. Like I said, I just learned it the other day. It looks exactly the same too. The charge controller is the same size as the connection box that has the diode in there. It looks exactly the same. Just a little bitty LED on there, and then that LED gives you diagnostic feedback, but it never comes on if you put your multimeter. There's no voltage output or anything.
Yeah, you got to put that battery to wake her up. I mean, like all regulators, right? They don't operate without a battery.
Well, Robert and I appreciate you coming on, man, and we would like to make this more than just a one-off. So take a look at your schedule, and also when you're having these events, if you ever want us to do something from the event or while you're during at the event, so we can get the word out. I think I've pretty much just expressed that we need that type of training, regardless of the marketing that I put out saying we've got to have both, because I'm never going to memorize all this stuff. So, Robert, what do you say, man?
I'll say, man, appreciate it, and keep us in your loop, man. We'll promote all we can for you.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate it. Well, thanks for having me. And realistically, reach out, look at calendar when you're doing your next training. Let me know. I'm not far. I'm like a 50-minute flight from there. I could go there and come home the same day. It's convenient.
All right, we will take you up on that, because I know we've got stuff scheduled in June, July, and August. So we've got stuff for you. So, all right. And I'll reach out to the local branch, make sure he's well aware that he's welcome anytime. And we'll go from there. Robert, roll us out, man. Give us something.
All right, man. Let's do this.
Thank you so much, Daniel. Appreciate it. And we'll invite
Welcome to another good episode of Two Smooth Operators. The only podcast about gate operator life.
Only, baby. There's only one.
For technicians.
Because there's only two people dumb enough
Your
to have.
host, Michael Brooks and Robert Evers.
Stay
tuned for another great episode.
Thank you, Daniel. Really appreciate it, man. Have a good night.
Yeah,
talk
man.
Later. Man, that was pretty cool.
Oh, yeah.
I'm glad that Daniel came on, man. I'm still live right now, but I just wanted to thank him and tell him I appreciate it. It's nice to have a big dog on there. So, Robert, next week we've got Susan Worley.
All right, my girl.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about what's going on with the Finch Show. We're going to be the only podcast about gate operator life. We'll be the official podcast. I don't think they've said that, but I'm making it up right now.
Oh my Lord.
Plus I have challenged Sean King and Brian Fredrickson to a checkers checkoff. So you better
Lord.
I know exactly. We'll just have a couple Michelob Ultras and we'll whoop their ass on in checkers. So it'll be like me and Brian against each other, and then you and Sean against each other, and then
the championship.
the championship. But if we both win, by default, we're the champions. But what I would also like to do is Craig Eubanks and Dan Wheeler and Joe Everest and all those other podcasters.
And,
if they're
Billy Grove.
Yes, the Grove man. He's coming on the podcast soon. I don't think we locked a date for him yet, but next week we got Susan. So she's going to tell us about FWA Health and the Finch Show and Finch University and all that good stuff, the typical stuff, but we get to joke and kid around about her. So, or with her, I should say. But all those other podcasters, if they want to get the Checker Championship, they can come get it too, man. So that puts us out for the show. We're going to win that thing because I'm going to find some way to cheat. So